All right, so we're going to be throwing a vase. So this is going to be a traditional vase form that you guys are going to learn how to throw. So we have a centered piece of clay, and now I'm going to be opening it into a cylinder. When I open it into a cylinder, do I open it really wide or really narrow?
Narrow.
Narrow. Why do I do that? So I can get more height. If I open it really wide, I won't have as much clay to use. So I just made a little indentation with my fingers, and I want to talk to you a little bit about opening to begin with. Some of you are having trouble making an opening and keeping your piece on center, am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so I just made a little indentation like a little belly button. If you're struggling keeping yours on center, what you can do is hold your fingers on the side. Hold it in the 9 o'clock position. Always have one hand over the other and keep it nice and even, and then press your hands straight down. The reason why that works is when you come straight down, your fingers try to move with the clay. When you hold it straight this way, it can hold a more steady form. So that can give you a little bit more of an indentation to go. You can press down. So that can be helpful for some of you when you're starting out. All right. So I have my indentation. I'm going to pull towards myself again, my belly button. I'm going to make my opening. Compress your base. Okay. And this is a lot of clay here, so I'm going to actually do kind of a pull by collaring it before I start to actually pull with my fingers. So I'm going to squeeze the clay on each side and pull it up. So I'm touching my wrists together, I'm squeezing from the bottom, and I'm moving my fingers upward. It just kind of thins it out, and it doesn't make it as thick of a piece of clay for me to start to pull with. So I want my walls to be nice and even when I start, so flat on the outside and flat on the inside. Okay, so I'm ready to start to pull. So I'm going to go to the 3 o'clock position. You can pull with your sponge, you can pull with your knuckle, whatever you're most comfortable with. And at this point, I can wrap one thumb over top of my outside hand. That's just going to keep a little bit more steady fingers on the clay as I start to do my first pull. Your hand should be moving up the side walls of the clay at the speed of your wheel. So if your wheel's moving fast, your hand should be moving fast. If your wheel's moving slow, your hand should be moving slow. And when you're pulling upward, you should all be moving nice and slow. So I'm going to go ahead and do another pull. I can't, because my piece is getting really tall at this point, I can't exactly touch one hand over the other. But as I'm starting to go up, as soon as I can grip my other hand, I'm going to, just to make sure. Squeeze a little bit more from the bottom here. Sometimes I like to make an indentation with my finger or with a wooden tool just to give my fingers a place to go when I'm starting a pull. So now my fingers have a little indentation that they can kind of squeeze in on. And give it one more good pull. If you find yourself going rather wide when you're pulling a cylinder, try to concentrate on putting your hands towards the center of the clay. So angle them towards the center of the wheel rather than towards 3 o'clock, and it will help you from going so wide. Okay, so there's my cylinder here. I'm just going to collar this a little bit and make it a little taller, a little straighter. Wrists are touching, and I'm moving my hands upward. Whenever you're collaring your clay, it does make it a little thicker, so the walls get somewhat thicker, just so you know. Okay, so now I'm going to start to form. So I want to divide my cylinder up into thirds. I'm going to have my lower third, my middle third, and my upper third. My lower third is going to be my foot, okay? My middle third is going to be my body. My upper third is going to be my neck and my lip. I'm going to start to bubble my clay from the lower third outward. My middle third is going to be the widest point. So I'm going to be putting my hands inside my piece, and I'm going to be pressing my fingers out, but pulling up at the same time. So you see how my hands are right now? I'm actually going to be pressing my fingers outward, but kind of giving it a little pull as I go. So my outside hand's just kind of along for the ride here. It's really not doing anything. So I'm going to just kind of press my fingers. My finger is right here right now. I'm going to start to press my lower third out first. My outside hand's not doing anything, it's just kind of hanging out. Press it down. So I'm just pressing towards 3 o'clock, making a bubble. All right, so I'm gonna look down at my side. That's a pretty good bubble there to get started. I'm gonna start to move my fingers up into my middle third and press it out a little further.
Here's a question.
Yes, Amanda.
It's Brooke, but so when did you start bubbling again? I'm confused.
Right here.
Okay, so like pretty close to the bottom.
Pretty close to the bottom, but it's not gonna be as wide as your middle third's gonna be.
Okay, I got it.
All right. So I'm gonna check my profile. It's not bad, it's not great. I'm gonna pick my shoulder up a little bit here. Try to bubble that out a little bit. Oops, I hit my lip. Run my fingers down the bottom. So I kind of like the way that this looks right now, so I'm pretty good with that shape, so I'm gonna wanna clean that up. I'm not touching my neck or my lip yet. Notice I haven't touched those. So I'm gonna just take my rib, I'm gonna run my rib across and just sort of smooth it out. Run it up, bring it over my shoulder. Let's get it nice and smoothed off. I'll go back and form these later. Now I'm gonna start with my neck. So I'm going to be collaring my neck in, essentially choking the clay. So imagine choking somebody's neck, that's what you're doing first. So kind of grabbing each side, and I'm gently squeezing.
A gentle choke.
It's a gentle choke, and move your hand upward. Now remember, this makes your clay a little more heavy. It makes the walls a little thicker, so you have to make sure you thin this out now, because you don't want your body to have to support all this weight. So I'm going to hold my hands here. I'm just going to do a pull. Sitting out that neck. Okay. I'm not touching the lip yet. Choke it a little. You want to be nice and gentle here. You don't really want to push too hard. Check your profile. It looks pretty good to me. So now I'm going to concentrate on the lip a little bit. So I'm just going to hold the lip from the top. I'm just going to gently angle my hands outward and flare my lip off. Okay? So now it's time to clean it up. So I'm going to use my rib, or a metal rib, it doesn't matter. And I already cleaned up a little bit across my body, so I'm going to worry about my neck now. I'm going to be using the rounded side of my rib. I'm going to just gently run my rib across my piece. I'm not taking clay away, I'm just taking the slurry out of here. I'm going to press a little bit around the neck to make it stand up. And run it all the way up to the lip. A little bit off the shoulder. Okay. Take your sponge, run your sponge along it. Let's get it nice and clean. Make sure you run your sponge across your lip to make sure it's nice and smooth. And now I can go ahead and start to clean up my base. Remember, you do not want to leave a really fat base here. If you do that, it's going to be more trimming work for you later. So you can use your finger. That's a good way to start, to just take off some of that excess clay. And then if you'd like to go in with a wooden rib tool, a wooden tool. So I just kind of go in on an angle. Just going to scrape off some of this excess. Okay. A little bit out from here. And then we have our base. Okay? Foot, body, neck,